to Livestream, the program that is all about you, the program where you get to question and comment on those in power and the big stories of the day. Now, 9 years ago, these pictures had shamed a nation. Young women chased by a mob, slapped, kicked, dragged by their hair as the terrified young women tried to dodge those blows. Some stumbled and fell, others were pushed to the ground. Now, these visuals had led to calls for the toughest punishment. But now all 25 accused and their controversial chief, Pramod Muthalik of the Sri Ram Sene group, have been freed by a court in Bengaluru that said on Monday there wasn't enough evidence of their crime in the pub. Were these visuals not proof enough? What about the statement that one of the women who was attacked gave to NDTV at the time? We will play that out for you in the course of this program. On Livestream today, we're asking, should the Mangalore pub attack goons? There is no other name for them, so I'll say it again. These are goons. They've been let off. Should they have been let off? Who will make them pay? Will the state government now appeal against this judgment in election season? Or is this verdict merely going to embolden the so-called moral police even further? Well, our numbers are now going live. You can tweet us your comments on @NDTV Livestream. You can also call us on 8377088377. That number, as we said, is live now. So keep your phone calls coming, because really this is about raising our voice on what appears to have been a palpable travesty of justice in a way. But let's just remind you of what Pramod Muthalik has now said in the light of his acquittal. He's called it a victory of the truth. In fact, not once does he deny that he and his group were responsible for this act. In fact, he says he will continue to be against pub culture.
हमें मंगलोर के कोर्ट खुलासा किया है, निर्दोष किया है। मैंने न्यायालय को अभिनंदन धन्यवाद देता हूं। सत्य का विजय हुआ है। ये न्याय हमें मिला है, ये स्पष्ट आज का जजमेंट हुआ है। लगभग 9 इयर्स 2009 में एक घटना हुआ था, पब हमला हुआ था। तो उसमें जो हमले में प्रमोद मुतालिक और श्री राम सेना को बहुत बदनामी किया था, तो बदनाम का उत्तर आज का जजमेंट है।
बदनाम का उत्तर आज का judgment है. That is a defiant Pramod Muthalik saying that, we did nothing wrong. He doesn't for once say we weren't responsible. So you have, in fact, a confession statement, as it were, from the chief of those who were accused. You have these visuals that are flashing on your screen as we speak. You also actually have a recorded statement, a video statement from one of the victims, one of the survivors, we should say, of that pub attack. Despite all this, clearly there was not enough evidence to have a case against, to have a verdict against these people. Joining us on Livestream tonight, Brinda Adiga, activist from Bengaluru. We're also being joined by Pramila Nesargi, a lawyer who is in fact supporting the Sri Ram Sene in all of this. But Brinda, let me begin with you. We heard Mr. Muthalik there say, yes, those were my goons. They beat up girls. Today is a victory of truth, and literally saying that he's going to continue to oppose pub culture, as it were. That he still feels that it's, the women who were at fault over here. And, those pictures continue to shame us as a nation 9 years on.
I think the people who should feel most ashamed just now is the entire government administration and the justice system, because they have failed the victims and survivors, and they have actually given a tool by this verdict to the goons like Muthalik and the Ram Sena, who continue to be emboldened and behave with this impunity, that they will go ahead with their whole moral policing, because they have now been given a victory. And if this is the understanding and definition that they get, that they are acquitted, I fear that the justice system is not upholding the constitutional rights of women and citizens of this nation, and especially of this state.
Now, that's an important message you're saying, because, that's an important point you bring up, because the message that seems to be going out today, Brinda Adiga, is that, you can beat up women and get away. Now, would you say that then this is to be squarely blamed on the Karnataka police who have failed to make their case? Or do we also need to ask questions about, given enough secondary evidence, could the verdict have been different from what it was?
Absolutely, because it is entire criminal justice system. It is not just the police. Because no matter what evidence that was there or whatever little that was not there, this is to be the complete domain of the magistrate, which means judicial proactivism is something that we expect. We know that in our society, coming out and making a complaint and then following through the tedious, cumbersome process of the courts is very difficult. Knowing all of this, the courts should have given a more progressive judgment and should not have let these people out. And I do expect the Karnataka government to make an application in court, a review petition.
Okay, a review petition in court. We'll have to wait and see if the Karnataka government does in fact do that. I believe we have our first caller online. Kshitij Joshi is on the line with us. Kshitij, go ahead with your question.
Hi Ankita, thanks for allowing me to comment on this. I wanted to ask a very simple question. Why is there a lack of political will and a lack of administrative preparedness to deal with such gunda culture? We already have a robust policing system.
Yes.
And it ought to arrest such kind of incidents before they happen in the first place.
All right. I want to take that across to our other guest tonight, Pramila Nesargi, who's a lawyer, also joining us on the show. The first question from one of our live callers, Pramila, is, there is a robust police system in place. Why has there been not enough will to prosecute these men, given that there is video evidence, given that there is even a statement from a witness, from a survivor of that attack?
Unfortunately, in this case, the victims have not come forward before the court to give evidence. So, you can't expect a judge to give a judgment when in the absence of the person who is the victim. They have not come before the court. I always blame the investigation. The police should have taken action. They should have summoned these witnesses. Witness summons should have been taken to them and they should have been brought before the court and they should have been made to give evidence. Unfortunately, in this case, nothing of these things have happened. None of the victims have come before the court. The secondary evidence that they are relying upon is the video conference, the video evidence. See, unfortunately, after the Information Technology Act coming into force, there is a method in which these documents will have to be proved, including the video. So, under Section 65B of the Information Technology Act, there is a certificate to be enclosed and they must prove before the court, then only the said record could be taken by the court. In the absence of the legal evidence, judge is helpless. Unfortunate it is. I do not know, I can't blame, I do not know whether the government is responsible, I do not know whether the prosecution was lethargic, whether an investigating officer wanted to help the accused, I am not aware of it. But nevertheless, this is an unfortunate case where women are involved. Prosecution never takes importance and they never take whatever the measures that have to be taken. In this case also, they have not taken. None of the victims have come before the court. How do you expect?
I can your point about the women. We take your point, ma'am, about the witnesses not having come forward in court. But ma'am, can I just say that they did, in fact, one of them spoke at length to NDTV 9 years ago when that attack had happened. I'm going to play out for our viewers that statement that the survivor of that Mangalore pub attack had given us at the time. And I want you to then consider and see whether this is not something the court could have admitted in evidence. Let's play that out for our viewers.
You do not know when you can be attacked, how you can be attacked, and what extent you can be attacked. Like I told you earlier, that we were just sitting there having a good time, and the next thing you know, people pulling your hair, stripping you, hitting you, calling you names like prostitutes, whores, and nanganach, and all this being mentioned. It's not something any girl wants to hear, of whichever background. And we come from well-educated families, good backgrounds, people who know where they come from and who know where they're going as well. And the last thing you want to do is be spoken to like this, and especially by hooligans who don't know what they're doing. In the name of God, that too. They say that even if it were their own mom, their own sister, their own wives, they'd probably treat them the same. But I'd really like to see that happen. That is not the way it's done. And it's just absolutely shamelessness, absolutely low life behavior. It cannot be accepted.
Low-life behavior cannot be accepted, describing in great detail the words that were used, the abuse that was thrown at them, what they were accused of at the time. Pramila Nesargi, here you have it on record. Perhaps this wasn't recorded before a magistrate, but is this not something that could have been admitted in secondary evidence? You have visuals, you have the people who are responsible saying that, yes, we are proud of what we did.
No, madam. I agree with you. I only wish that she should have been subjected to cross-examination. Any evidence which is taken, it cannot be admitted in evidence. Unfortunately, we have a system like this. That is why I always say that the investigation and the method in which the proof has to be done, it has to be amended. Okay. I always say this burden must be placed on the accused in such cases.
Brinda, a quick comment from you before I go to our next caller.
They have to disprove.
Brinda, is the law in fact so blind that, it cannot consider the fact that these people have never ever, the so-called Sri Ram Sene activists have never denied that they were there, that they were responsible. They in fact proudly proclaimed that they did exactly what they did. We have video evidence. We have, the statement given to in a television interview by this survivor, and yet none of this has counted for anything.
You're absolutely right. Because at the end of the day, the citizens look up to the courts to extend that justice, to serve that justice, which is legitimately theirs. And we know that in India, we neither have victim protection or witness protection legislations. And so many times women will not come forward. And it is because of these instances, people with influence, people with money, people who are party to all of these fringe elements who threaten citizens, where nothing is given, no protection is given. So the court needs to be asking questions and interpreting it in the light of the present society and what women are going through. So the courts have failed to extend that protection. Okay. The courts have failed to extend that security. And they have to now be held responsible and accountable.
More than witness protection, in a case like this, the women are also afraid of slut shaming, of being publicly humiliated for coming out and protesting against something like this. These are already people who are saying they shouldn't be in pubs, pronouncing all sorts of moral judgments on them. So, it would take great courage to come forward. But Sheila Khanna is on the phone line for us now, with us now from Delhi. Sheila, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to bring to your notice this thing happened about 15 years ago. I was walking down the market on the pavement, and my sari pallu just brushed against the panwala's, he put a thing on the pavement, he put up his stall, and something fell down from that, and he immediately called two people from inside the main shop, and they came and they pushed me around. I was on the floor. In any case, someone called the police, and after that, I made a statement over there. Yes. Now, surprisingly, I was just hearing this lady activist. She was saying that there was not enough evidence. The people didn't come in evidence. The girls didn't come and give evidence against the accused. But in my case, I went to the court. I made a statement. And still the lady judge, she only found them guilty of pushing me around and things and put 10,000 rupees fine. And she says, I'm not finding them guilty of harming the modesty of a woman. Now, you see, this is very unfortunate that things like this happen because the public prosecutor, gets in touch with the other side's lawyers and all, and they just keep doing whatever they want to because they don't want a blot on their name.
This is something that seems to recur, and particularly for a woman going ahead to make a complaint like this is beset with difficulties. Somnath Rai is also on the phone line with us from Delhi. Somnath, go ahead with your question or comment.
Hi, I just wanted to say two things. One is you should be naming the judge who gave this extraordinary verdict, and you should have the judge, the investigating officer and the public prosecutor, all three of them in the studio and interviewing them.
Well, that certainly is an idea, but no doubt not something that could really be carried out. But, you know, Pramila, Nesargi, Brinda Adige, I want to bring all of these points that have been raised to both of you. A lot of people are now asking questions. What is the way forward from here? Pramila, Nesargi, do you believe that the Karnataka government now should in fact appeal against file a review petition? What should be the step forward for these women who for 9 years have hoped perhaps for some justice? You know, how must they be feeling right now?
The question is, you know, our government may think of filing an appeal, provided there is evidence sufficient to convict them. I do not know, I have not read the records intact, but nevertheless what I have heard from the media and all that, I feel that there is no enough evidence, legal evidence has been placed for the reasons best known. But nevertheless, they can ask for retrial, they can go ahead and then say there is some failure, and they may say, ask the prosecution to reinvestigate and then place further materials. If they have failed to place the material, they can always seek permission from the court and say for some reason they had not been able to place the material, and even now it is not too late, they can place the evidence. That is one aspect. Secondly, you know, this will not solve our problem, women's problem. Like in Philippines, you know, there is a principle called as res ipsa loquitur. In other words, it is called as things speaks for itself. If the video record shows, then no further evidence is required in such a case. That must be the amendment that must be brought about in our law, in the Evidence Act, in the Technology, the IT Act, and the appreciation of evidence. If that is brought about, nothing more is required. Women also need not come before the court.
We must take this across to our viewers also. Vidya is from Mangalore. She is in fact bringing together a campaign asking for justice, asking for the Karnataka government now to file a plea. Vidya's comment from Mangalore.
I don't think anybody would actually come out today and talk, especially in this kind of situation where the court seems to have, you know, endorsed what was happening. It may not be an endorsement. They might have said we do not have sufficient evidence. But what was the police doing? Wasn't it their responsibility? They know the Evidence Act much better than you and I. They should have used all the wherewithal that they had to put in everything so that everything is taken as primary evidence and that the prosecution was strong. This kind of close follow-up of cases is what we do not see our governments doing, whether it's a BJP government or a Congress government.
All right. We'll take that comment across. We have a viewer also calling in at this point. Sadiq calling us with his comment. Sadiq, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Ankita, I just have a couple of things to make, right? And it's really surprising to see that this Goon has been left off so easily. First of all, I would like to beg to differ with the activist, Nisargi, saying that the victims could not come forward. In our country like India, right, there's very little women have the strength to come out and fight on this open. Now, secondly, she says there is not enough evidence, but I can see it's a 9-year-old evidence with pictures taken with cameras, which are SLR cameras, which are probably by media reporters, which are sufficient enough evidence to nail any person who is guilty. Women have been thrown flat on the face. How should we say that, you know what, there is not enough evidence? Secondly, even if the victim is not coming forward, I think the court has all the right and the police to find a habeas corpus in this situation and act according to the habeas corpus. The frames are clear enough. The one which I'm sitting with, seeing right now with the orange shirted guy, I don't think it is very difficult for the cops to get hold of them. I would also like to relate to one incident where I've seen myself and I've been a witness to it just a couple of weeks back in Mumbai, where my son's school's principal was surrounded by 12 goons of a builder who was trying to take over the school's property. All right, me, myself, and the woman, all right, the school's principal went to the police station to file an FIR. All right, the police completely denied filing an FIR. They did not even file an NC for that matter. All right, made us wait from 8 o'clock in the evening to 1 in the morning and ultimately did not file an FIR. It's not a thing which is not of the past, all right?
Yes.
Whenever there is a son people involved, all right, there is always going to happen something like this.
All right, fair enough. Thank you for your comment, Sadiq. We also have Ruhi from Kashmir joining us. Ruhi, go ahead.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, can I say that the people who are involved in it, or I can say the people who were involved in the past, are getting a sort of triggering point, or the people who are right now involved in the activities like this that has happened in the past, or that the verdict that's being given to them can I actually, I was actually talking to myself about it. I feel as a girl, right now I heard about it, you saying that.
Yes. Okay, what is your question? Okay, we seem to have been cut off from Ruhi, but I believe we have another caller on the line, Dr. Vijay Kumar from Lucknow. Well, we'll go across to him in a moment. But Brinda, if you'd like to sum up all of this for us, lots of people now calling in with their questions, saying perhaps, couldn't more have been done on the basis of this secondary evidence, as it's being called?
More than secondary evidence, what is stopping the magistrate from understanding that women have been abused, there is crime that has been committed, circumstantial evidence is sitting in front of you. If you wanted any more depositions, you could have always issued summons. You could have always asked for the other witnesses to come. The court, knowing that these things are happening where women are not able to break the silence around violence, could have also extended protection to them. What stops the court from being proactive? What stops the court from extending the available protection to people? You cannot continue patriarchal thinking, you cannot condone chauvinistic behavior, and you cannot wash away your hands by saying that there is no evidence. I think this is not the strong, brave stand that we expect from our courts.
Okay, fair point. I believe we have another comment on video now. Go ahead.
And Netaki madam, the whole system about the judiciary as well as the police need to improve in the sense, A, witness should be provided adequate protection, and B, once the moral policing goons have been recorded in the video camera, there is no need for any kind of justice to be passed. Such kind of moral policing should be stopped forthwith. It's as simple as that. Instead of, politicizing the issue, the action should be done by the executive as well as the judiciary. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much indeed for that comment. I'm going to take very quick last comments from our guests at this point. Pramod, you made that point over and over again about witnesses not coming forward. But do you believe that there is, in fact, a space for witnesses to come forward when, in fact, all they can expect is to be slut-shamed or to be humiliated and the fact that they have no protection either? And how do we send the message across that this sort of behavior cannot happen again? Because, there'll be Valentine's Day, there'll be New Year's Eve, and this is a cycle that repeats itself.
I only wish, because it all depends upon the judge who is presiding officer in the case. See, if only he was really active, if he is concerned with the women's welfare, and if he is confident, after seeing the video, this is a case where the prosecution has not been doing justice. He could have taken initiative himself. He could have called the witnesses by asking them as court witnesses. Court witnesses only, the advantage is both the prosecution and the accused will have the right to cross-examination. That's the only thing. Otherwise, the court can always call these persons as court witnesses, and he could have examined them and he could have done justice to the women in this case. Unfortunately, it is not done. I am not knowing why it was not done, whether this was a fit case which could have been done and all that. But nevertheless, I only feel that in a case like this, no further evidence is required except the video. In that case, law must be amended. Women must not be called to the court, investigation by the police, secondly by the court, and subjecting them to cross-examination. That is why women of our time, they do not come. Law must be amended. It must be said on the date of the incident, whatever is recorded in the presence should be taken as the solid evidence, substantial evidence, and on that basis, the conviction should be.
We'll leave it at that for tonight. Pramila Nesargi, Brinda Adiga, thank you for joining us. That name of the pub in Mangalore was Amnesia. It's time perhaps not to have a collective attack of amnesia about what happened there 9 years ago. We'll leave it at that on Livestream tonight. Thanks for watching.